My name is Steve Pratt, and I'm the CEO of United Way of Chatham-Kent, and we're just checking in with our daily 3 o'clock update. Today, I wanted to take some time to speak to you about some of the announcements for government funding that have been coming through, and to share with you the information that we know at this point in time. So we're very grateful that the government has been stepping up in many ways to support our most vulnerable citizens. And the announcements that have been coming out have been national announcements. So, for example, there's been an announcement from the Canada's New Horizons for Seniors program that there's going to be $9 million invested in supporting vulnerable seniors within our communities. I can share with you now that we know that that $9 million is supporting over 5,000 communities across the country. And the amount of that funding that is landing in Chatham-Kent is $49,808, which we're going to be able to flow. So the government has very clear guidelines on where and how those funds are to be allocated and to be used. And they are to support the current organizations that are already working with vulnerable seniors in our community and helping them to kind of fulfill some of their immediate needs that might be disrupting their ability to provide services at this time. So we know that with all of the COVID restrictions that have been put in place, a lot of our charities have come under a lot of pressure in terms of being able to keep up with the response. Particularly, we know that a lot of the groups do rely on their ability to fundraise, or they have earned revenue that's happening from when you're purchasing services. So they're seeing a huge decrease in that, and that obviously dollars impacts ability to be able to help in a lot of cases. And we also know that there's been disruptions to some of the programs and services, how they are able to be offered um, in being able to keep up with the public health recommendations and restrictions that are currently in place as we respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. So some changes have had to happen there. And we know that we're seeing unprecedented human resource challenges in terms of up to 45% of folks working in the social services sector, providing frontline support to our most vulnerable communities. They've either had to self isolate or they've been quarantined and not able to come to work, or sometimes there's restrictions in place that you can only access one facility or one home and you can't be going to multiple homes. So that's put a huge crunch there. And on the services that rely on volunteers, we've seen another huge crunch there because a good number of volunteers are over the age of 70. And so we've seen some folks that are required to self isolate, and that's really put some stress there. So, and also there's a fear of contagion that's happening where people are not wanting to go out and put themselves in a position where they might bring home COVID to their friends or family or for themselves, and that's not a risk that they're wanting to take. So they're wanting to help, but more virtually than doing some face-to-face interactions. So we know there's been some stress there. And so while we know that the $49,000 is definitely not going to be able to meet all of the needs that are out there, the intention from the government is to ensure that we can at least get some of the most immediate pressing needs for vulnerable seniors in the community met through providing funds to some of the organizations that are doing this work in the community. So we have a process in place where we're working with multiple frontline serving organizations and with folks from the community in looking at what those needs are to better understand where those gaps currently exist. And we have a table of co-investors. So in addition to the dollars that are being invested through the federal government, there's also some funding available through our provincial government, municipal government, and then we've come together as United Way, the Chatham-Kent Community Foundation, the Ridge Landfill Trust, and a number of philanthropists in the community and businesses as well, really starting to look at what the needs are in the community and how we can collectively respond. We all recognize that the current situation we face is definitely greater than the ability of any one organization or any one person to be able to overcome on their own, and that we really need to be working together to get through this. So while there's going to be $49,000 available from the government, we anticipate there will be greater, more significant investment than just that that will be happening in our community. And we will be communicating that out through the media in terms of where and how dollars are being invested. And we'll also include that on our 3 p.m. update. So we're expecting to receive the dollars, the $49,000 at some point this week, and we intend on flowing those dollars out to the organizations that require the support starting next week. So that's really where it's moving fairly quickly, but just wanted to be very clear that the dollars that have come through have been earmarked by the government to ensure that these funds are going to support the local organizations that are already providing supports to seniors, vulnerable seniors in particular, uh, prior to the crisis. So, and the ones that are continuing to respond to ensure that they can continue to respond and overcome some of the challenges that we just went over earlier. So definitely wanted to thank the Government of Canada and the New Horizons for Seniors program, as well as our local MPs, Leanne Rood and Dave Epp, for helping to make this possible in terms of helping to take care of our community's most vulnerable. Another announcement had happened yesterday by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in the announcement of $350 million that again will be allocated across 5,000 plus communities in Canada in terms of looking at how we can help to support our communities most vulnerable. At this point in time, we don't have any details yet on how that's going to flow. As soon as we have that information available and we know what resources will be available locally in our community, we will definitely be sharing that as well. And we are expecting that it's going to be very similar guidelines in terms of where and how the dollars are to be invested in the community, being that it will be supporting local organizations that are already doing the work in getting and supporting our most vulnerable, again, to help overcome some of these challenges we talked about earlier, where there's issues around being able to have and raise money to be able to do what they're doing. There's issues around having to adapt programs and services to be able to respond and help folks with social distancing and self-isolation and all those measures, connecting with food, clothing, shelter, all that kind of stuff is very, very important, and really focusing on basic needs at this moment in time. And also, we know being able to overcome some of the human resources challenges that are in place through some of the restrictions that are currently there that are designed to help protect all of our health, our collective health. And we know that in Chatham-Kent, we're overall doing a pretty good job at making sure that we're doing our parts collectively in making sure we're self-isolating wherever we can, whenever we can, keeping the amount of human interaction to a minimum, and ensuring that we're following social distancing and keeping at least 6 feet apart. So we want to make sure we keep doing that. And we know that there's some folks that require a little extra support in being able to help with that. And that's why we're very pleased to hear and learn that the government has provided some emergency assistance to help those organizations that are helping our vulnerable people to be able to continue the COVID-19 spread reduction measures. From there, that's pretty much our update for today. If you are somebody that is actually looking to connect with supports and you're not too sure what supports are available locally in the community, we do have a 24/7 hotline that is answered, and it's available in over 150 languages, and it's always answered by a live person. And you can call and say that, I need help getting food, right? It's just like, where can I go? And they'll be able to answer that. Or if you need help in, understanding some of the government benefits that are available, how to apply, they'll be able to assist you with that as well. And again, it is 24/7. So if you're awake at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're really wanting to know, how can I get food tomorrow? You can call at any time and someone will be there to help provide that answer. In addition, you may also visit ckgives.ca, where we've pulled together a number of resources that link, direct, and connect you to trustworthy, credible information where you can get the latest, most up-to-date information about our local response and how we're responding in Chatham-Kent to COVID-19. So thank you so much again today for joining us. If you have any questions, please comment below. We will respond and get back to you with an answer. And yes, if there's anything that you would like to know or future topics, please let us know, and we'll be sure to share that with you. And thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see you tomorrow.